Probably the best way to tell you about Aileron and how we make businesses work better is to take you through a couple of stories, a couple of engagements and projects that we've undertaken to give you a good sense of the depth of our experience, the breadth of our experience, and why our clients like us. To understand the PC, you've got to go back to the 80s where the PC was first introduced, right? So the PC evolved as just another way of extracting information out of the mainframe. But with the evolution of that empowerment came risk. And also a cost model of support. That they found that the PC was not as reliable or as stable as the mainframe. The PC is a high maintenance appliance, and it requires a lot of care and feeding means money. So where we find ourselves today is with a model of employee empowerment that works, but a maintenance and cost model that doesn't. And let's just be clear what the cloud is. The cloud is nothing more than hosting. So we talked about hosting a decade ago. It is somebody else's server room, somebody else's internet connection, somebody else's electricity, your data or your server. So let's sort of demystify the cloud thing a little bit, okay? It's just hosting, but maybe with a subtle difference now. So now, instead of just hosting your server, now what we're doing is we're taking applications that would have been very expensive to use, that most businesses couldn't afford. And instead of buying those applications, you're just paying for what you use. Very small sliver, and usually in recurring chunks. So the cloud sort of extended itself out, and it began to take in not just the servers, which is what we would have called hosting, but then started to evolve out to the applications. And we think that the cloud extends itself best to supporting mainstream operating system environments like Windows and like Linux. Now, notice I didn't say PCs, because I'm not talking about the cloud hosting a PC, because a PC is just a piece of hardware. So really, who cares about the PC? It's what's on the PC that you care about. It's the applications, the operating systems, the data. So if the PC itself is the unstable element, kick it to the curb, and you're left with what you like and what you need. What are you going to do with that now? Where are you going to put that? The cloud is the perfect extension for that. The cloud is the perfect repository for this. Now you move towards virtualization, which to those of you who are old enough will say this is like going back to the mainframe days. We're going back to the mainframe, but in a more balanced way. We're taking the decentralization of data access and applications and pairing it with the reliability and the security of the mainframe. Virtualized desktops are less expensive than PCs. There's no question about that. The cost of acquisition is lower. Terminals cost as low as $300, as opposed to a PC to acquire for a standard business, which is $900. Cost of maintenance is lower, much lower. Fewer moving parts. Things are solid state. They're just toasters. They just sit there. They're cheaper. The risks associated with them are much lower. They're simple devices. Very few inroads into the network. So the chances that somebody's going to be able to sit at one of them and do something on the network that you don't want them to do is slim. So less expensive to get into, less expensive to maintain, and less risky. All of those three things have to equal a lower cost model than PCs. Somebody calls us and says their PC is slowing down. We talk to them, we find out that their job has changed a little bit. They're working with larger files, right? Their PC is not adequate for what they want to do anymore. What you have to do now is you have to buy a new PC for that person. You have to buy a new PC, or you have to upgrade memory, buy them a larger hard drive, or if it's processor related, you've got to buy them a new PC. In a virtual infrastructure, you go to the server, you slide a little slider across that says, this person now needs 4 gig of RAM and not 2, 6 gig of RAM and not 4. And they reboot and that's it. So in and of itself, it drives flexibility for businesses. And whenever there's flexibility, and we're able to couple that with lower cost, Usually flexibility to get into a flexible environment costs you a lot of money because you got to have a lot of different options available to you. In this infrastructure, your acquisition costs go lower, your support costs go lower, your flexibility goes up, your risk goes down, your security goes up. VDI also offers the ability to secure an infrastructure in a way that the PC has always been challenging to do. PCs come with multiple USB ports, CD-ROM drives. Even if they're never used, they're still there. People can come in at any time and plug in a USB hard drive, copy the entire contents of a server onto it, and then leave. VDI says something completely different. Let's start with a secure device that doesn't allow you to do a single thing unless you've got a username and password. And then from that username and password, it's this reverse pyramid. You get more the higher up you go. The PC is a pyramid. You get everything, and if we want you to have less, we're going to drive it up this way. It's not the way it's supposed to be. VDI has the potential to be a fad, to be just another term that salespeople and tech companies throw out. But this one is too important to ignore. Sometimes things become wildly popular because they're really good. And this is one of those ones. VDI will work and will be beneficial to 90% of most businesses. Most businesses today are based on email, Microsoft Office, and the internet. And so for most everybody out there, receptionists, secretaries, finance people, marketing folks, sales folks, those sorts of people, and those sorts of job functions. I think VDI is going to be a boon to their business. Even if you can only replace 10% of your PCs, that's still 10% of your PCs, 10% of something which is high maintenance, which is going away. And that's important. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing deal. You can mix the infrastructures. So why us? Well, again, over the last 10 years, we've been supporting our businesses, we've been supporting our customers, holding their hands while they wrestle with the PC. We have felt that pain the same way that they have, because it's a tough product to have to support. 90% of our customers have stayed with us, not because we know how to keep PCs up and running, but because we get their business. And when somebody gets your business, it doesn't matter whether you're using VDI or PCs or Macs or Linux. Do they know what you're worried about? Do they know where you're trying to get to? And do you trust that they'll help you figure out a way to get to that goal in a way that works for you?